Adolf Hitler, the darkest chapter of history. Part 1. Introduction and the English Parchment Method. Welcome back to English Parchment. We are glad you are here to continue your journey toward English fluency. Today's topic is difficult, but essential. To understand the modern world, we must understand the darkest moments of the past. Before we begin this historical deep dive, please like this video and subscribe to English Parchment. Your engagement helps us reach more students around the world who want to learn English through high-quality storytelling. Today we are using the active shadowing technique. 1. Pace your listening. Because this is a long video, try to listen in 5-minute blocks. 2. Focus on transitions. Pay attention to how we move from one idea to another using words like however, consequently, and despite this. These are vital for B1 level learners. 3. The 2,200-word endurance test. Listening to a 20-minute video is a major achievement. If you can follow this story until the end, your listening comprehension is officially moving toward the B2 upper intermediate level. How does an unsuccessful painter, who was once homeless on the streets of Vienna, become a dictator who leads the world into the most destructive war in human history? It is a question that historians in 2026 are still asking. Today we look at the life of Adolf Hitler, not to celebrate him, but to understand how a civilized nation can fall into the trap of hatred. Stay with us until the end of this English Parchment special, as we discuss the ultimate downfall of the Third Reich and the eternal lessons of never again. Part 2. A failed artist in Vienna. Adolf Hitler was not born in Germany. He was born in 1889 in a small town in Austria. His father, Alois, was a strict customs official who wanted his son to follow in his footsteps. But Adolf was different. He was interested in art, music, and architecture. He didn't want a boring office job. After his father died, 18-year-old Adolf moved to Vienna, the capital of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. He had a dream. He wanted to become a famous painter. He applied to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts twice. Both times, he was rejected. The professors told him he had no talent for drawing people. This rejection changed his life. Without a job or a family to support him, he became homeless. He lived in shelters and sold small postcards he painted to survive. It was during these years in Vienna that Hitler began to listen to radical politicians. He started to believe that his failures were not his fault, but the fault of others. He began to develop the bitter, hateful ideas that would later destroy Europe. Part 3. The First World War and the stab in the back. In 1914, World War I broke out. For Hitler, the war was a gift. It gave his life a purpose. He joined the German army and served as a messenger. He was a brave soldier and received the Iron Cross for his service. When Germany lost the war in 1918, Hitler was in a hospital, recovering from a gas attack that had made him temporarily blind. When he heard the news of the surrender, he was furious. Like many other soldiers, he refused to believe that Germany had been defeated on the battlefield. Instead, he believed a conspiracy theory, that Germany had been stabbed in the back by politicians, communists, and Jewish people at home. This lie became the foundation of his political career. He moved to Munich and joined a small group called the German Workers' Party. Because he was a powerful and angry speaker, he quickly became the leader. He renamed it the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazi Party. Part 4. The Beer Hall Putsch and Mein Kampf. In 1923, Germany was in chaos. The economy was destroyed, and money was worthless. Hitler thought it was the perfect time to take power by force. He led a small group of armed men into a beer hall in Munich, intending to start a revolution. The Beer Hall Putsch was a total failure. The police opened fire, and Hitler was arrested. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, though he only served 9 months. While he was in his cell, he wrote a book called Mein Kampf, My Struggle. In this book, he outlined his dark vision for the future. He wrote about Lebensraum, living space, for Germans in the East and his hatred for Jewish people. At the time, most people thought the book was the work of a madman, but Hitler was patient. He realized that to take over Germany, he didn't need a revolution. He needed to win elections. Part 5. The Rise to Power, 1929 to 1933. For a few years, the Nazi Party remained small, but in 1929, the Great Depression hit. Suddenly, millions of Germans were unemployed and hungry. They were desperate for a strong man to save them. Hitler used modern technology to win support. He flew across Germany in a private plane, giving speeches to thousands of people. His propaganda chief, Joseph Goebbels, used the radio and posters to make Hitler look like a godlike figure. They promised work and bread. In the elections of 1932, the Nazis became the largest party in the Reichstag, Parliament. In January 1933, the President of Germany, Paul von Hindenburg, made Hitler the Chancellor. Hindenburg thought he could control Hitler. He was wrong. Within months, Hitler used a fire in the Reichstag building as an excuse to suspend all civil rights. He banned all other political parties and made himself the Führer, the absolute dictator of Germany. Part 6. Life in the Third Reich. Between 1933 and 1939, Hitler transformed Germany into a total police state. He created the Gestapo, secret police, and the SS to eliminate anyone who disagreed with him. Schools, newspapers, and films were all controlled by the state. To the outside world, it looked like Germany was recovering. Hitler built the Autobahn, highways, and reduced unemployment by building a massive military, which was forbidden by international law. He hosted the 1936 Olympics in Berlin to show the world the new Germany. But behind the scenes, the darkness was growing. He began to pass laws that stripped Jewish citizens of their rights, their jobs, and their dignity. He was preparing the German people for a war of conquest, teaching them that they were a master race and that others were subhuman. Part 7. The Path to World War II. Hitler's foreign policy was simple: break every treaty and take more land. He took back the Rhineland, annexed Austria, and took parts of Czechoslovakia. The leaders of Britain and France followed a policy of appeasement. They gave him what he wanted, hoping to avoid another war. But Hitler could not be satisfied. On September 1st, 1939, he invaded Poland. This was the breaking point. Britain and France declared war on Germany. World War II had begun. In the beginning, Hitler's Blitzkrieg, lightning war, was unstoppable. He conquered Norway, Denmark, Belgium, the Netherlands, and even France in just a few weeks. By 1941, he controlled almost all of Europe. But then, he made his biggest mistake. He invaded the Soviet Union. He thought he could win in a few months, but he had underestimated the size of the country and the bravery of the people. Part 8. The Holocaust. The ultimate crime. As the war continued, Hitler moved from discrimination to mass murder. This is the most horrific part of his biography. He and his top officials created the final solution, a plan to murder every Jewish person in Europe. They built death camps like Auschwitz and Treblinka. Millions of people were transported in cattle trains to these camps, where they were murdered in gas chambers. By the end of the war, 6 million Jews and millions of others, including Roma people, people with disabilities and political prisoners, had been killed. This event, the Holocaust, remains the greatest crime in human history. It is why we continue to study this period on English Parchment, so that we never forget the victims. Part 9. The Downfall and the Bunker. By 1943, the tide of the war had turned. The German army was defeated at Stalingrad in the east, and the Allies landed in Normandy, D-Day, in the west. Germany was being squeezed from both sides. Hitler refused to surrender. He ordered his soldiers to fight to the last man, even when it was clear that the war was lost. He spent his final days in an underground bunker in Berlin as Soviet tanks entered the city. He had become a shadow of his former self, sick, paranoid, and defeated. On April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his bunker. A few days later, Germany surrendered. The 1,000-year Reich had lasted only 12 years, but it had left Europe in ruins and tens of millions of people dead. Part 10. The World in 2026. The Lessons of History. Today, on March 2nd, 2026, we live in a world that is still shaped by the events of World War II. The United Nations, the European Union, and the international laws we have today were all created to ensure that a dictator like Hitler can never rise again. In 2026, as we see new tensions and conflicts around the globe, like the military operations we mentioned in our recent videos, the biography of Hitler serves as a warning. It shows us how quickly democracy can disappear if we do not protect it. It shows us that hatred, when used as a political tool, leads only to destruction. For students of English here on English Parchment, studying this history is not just about learning facts. It is about learning how to identify propaganda, how to value human rights, and how to use your voice for peace. Part 11. Conclusion and Discussion. Thank you for staying with us through this difficult but important lesson on English Parchment. Completing a 20-minute biography in English is a major step in your learning journey. You have practiced your listening skills and expanded your vocabulary with words like annexed, propaganda, and resilience. History is the greatest teacher we have. By learning the language of the world, you are gaining the power to read primary sources and understand the global conversation about our shared past. Now, let's practice your English writing. Why do you think it is important for schools to teach the biography of figures like Hitler even today, in 2026? What can we do to prevent the spread of hatred in the digital age? Please share your thoughts in the comments below, in English. We value your perspective. If you found this lesson valuable, please like the video and subscribe to English Parchment. It helps our community grow and allows us to continue making educational content for you. Check the video description for the full text of this story. We will see you in the next video, where we will look at a more positive figure who helped change the world for the better. Keep learning, keep reading, and stay strong. Goodbye.